Welcome to our fireside chat in the Mad Speakeasy, which is the hidden haven for the MadLads community in Portals. In part 2 of our chat with Benzel, we dig into all things mad news. Let's jump back in.
So if maybe you're somebody that hasn't been reading the Mad News from the beginning, going back to issue number 1, reading through 60 plus issues, that's a hell of an undertaking. But a couple months ago, actually the 1 year anniversary, I released a 3-part series, and it was the highlights of the Mad News from the entire year previous. So it's 3 different newsletters, and then packed full of the most important stories for each issue. So, if you wanted to hack your Mad News reading, you can definitely head over to those and kind of get a nice curated look at the Mad News.
So how do you feel the Mad News has evolved over the past 68 issues?
Oh my gosh, I think it's evolved immensely. I think the quality has improved tremendously. And that's honestly because of direct feedback from the community. People like yourselves have given this wonderful feedback about how it's a weekly event for them to read it. And that just makes me want to do better. Talk about more interesting things, provide information that is not publicly available, or information that is very hidden. The casual observer might not know about it.
Can you tell us about Lad of the Week?
That was definitely a Mad Monkey originated idea. He just kind of said it, casually, brainstorming one day when the Mad News first started. I've taken it and ran with it since then. And how does somebody become a Lad of the Week? That's a very broad category of things, right? Like, we love to recognize lads if they had a really important life event. Like Wendy a couple weeks ago just got married. I think that's worth celebrating. She met her husband in crypto and Web3. What a wonderful story.
Nice.
People like yourself, Leela, who built this Mad Speakeasy, created this community space for people to come and spend time at. Like, that's worth celebrating. I love to feature the content creators, the people that are constantly making, either completely bespoke images, or they're making memes, or they're making copy pastas. Anybody that is actively contributing to the MadLads and the backpack movement. And then also, I really like to feature people whenever they break out of crypto and they break out of crypto Twitter. For example, our Lad of the Week this week, he's not particularly active like in the comment section or bull posting about MadLads or backpack, but he's a builder, right? He's a CEO. He doesn't really have time to be doing all that. Well, guess what? His project just got featured in Forbes magazine with a Lads PFP. That kind of thing is quite compelling.
Do you have gems that you would direct people to?
My favorite thing that we've done is an interview with Matt Monkey, which for those of you who don't know, he's kind of like the third soft founder of the MadLads brand. A lot of what you see coming out on the socials is a product of his mind. But the interview that we did was all about the origin story of MadLads, of the WoW mentality, and where that originated from. And for anybody that's a fan of both MadLads or Backpack, it's a tremendous read because it gives you some insight into the early days of brand building.
How about future plans for the Mad News?
Circling back to the Lad of the Week, I would really like to start rewarding those people. I think that would bring some new interest to the Mad News. I think that it would be something to look forward to for all of these community content creators that are just doing it for the love of the game. And it also kind of gives the sponsors a vested interest in Mad News. And I guess another thing that's coming up, I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's a really big deal if you're a fan of MadLads, a fan of Backpack, you want these platforms to succeed. So right now, the Mad News, we're posting it as articles on Twitter or X, but those don't really get picked up by search engines.
Right.
We also publish it via a Substack blog, and that has some SEO penalties, so it has some search engine penalties. So we're gonna shift all of those publications to the actual Backpack website. And again, that's really important for the platforms because each piece of Mad News is a super keyword rich, long form piece that features, every prevalent builder in the Solana ecosystem at this point. And I think that'll have a tremendous impact on the amount of organic traffic that we bring to the backend platforms. Really, I would just like to share my gratitude to the readers, to anybody who's ever interacted with a Mad News post, or shared it, or screenshotted it, or send a link to somebody else. We wouldn't have made it this far without the roughly 2,000 weekly readers. It's an absolute pleasure for me to write it every week, and I get a lot of that pleasure because of feedback from you guys.
Well, it's a very well put together, fun read every week. It's been a great asset to the community. So recommend it, everybody subscribe at news.madlads.com.
Tune in next for part 3, where Benzel talks about the MadLads community.